and welcome to the Tern Heads podcast, the podcast that brings you actionable tips, industry insights, and employment journey examples to help you start your career in the creative industries. I'm your host, Sam Fairbrother, and today I'm joined by James Wilson, who is a second-year digital design student at Brunel University. James has very kindly written a blog for the Tern Heads website describing his feelings of imposter syndrome and offers solutions to help others as to how he deals with it. Hi, James.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
Cool. And I thought imposter syndrome is a really, really good subject to cover because everybody suffers from it at some point in their life. So I think, it's just a really good thing to kind of chat about, really, so that no one feels weird about it.
Yes. Yeah. I've got a few friends that have confided in me, and they're not even creatives either. There's some engineers that, well, as you say, all sorts of people suffer from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought we should kick off with when you maybe first realised you were kind of feeling a bit of imposter syndrome seeping in.
I think it first started when I first started graphic design. I went to a previous college before uni to study like purely graphic design, kind of print and stuff. And it's funny, it's just I think it's being around other creatives that you're kind of seeing what everyone else is doing, and when you're at the start of your career, you might have done some stuff in school, but then you're kind of starting to get out in the world and you see what other people are capable of. And you're like, wait a second, well, they can draw really well. But my drawing literally looks like stickmen and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it was around then. And I mean, it kind of comes and goes. And obviously, like any craft, you have your ups and your downs where sometimes you do this amazing work that you're like, yes, it's really working, and then sometimes it doesn't work so well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So probably start around then. And it's kind of it, like, this is the thing, as I say in my article, it's getting better, like anything, it just kind of rolls on, and it's getting better. But it's I thought I would write about it just because, as you say, everyone kind of experiences it in some way. And
yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like the creative industries are very competitive anyway. And it's a very individual thing, isn't it? Like you're kind of physically creating something that's yours, and it's come out of directly from your head, and you've crafted it. So when you kind of put that against what other people are doing, there's always going to be someone who's better than you, or you feel is better than you.
Of course, it's because this is the wonderful thing about the creative industries. It's like it is subjective, and you all bring something different to it. But compared to like a maths problem, the answer's not always kind of like crystal clear in that sense. And it's all different. But as we both know, it's kind of like, someone will think, I don't know, the color purple is horrible from like various kind of experiences in life, whereas maybe I quite like it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a bit of a I think it is something that you learn to deal with. I mean, I can tell you, I've been in the industry for 13 years and I still suffer from imposter syndrome. And, I'll still get a brief at work every now and again, and I'll just go blank. And anything I come up with, I just hate it. And I don't even want to show anyone, and you just have one of those days and it knocks you. But you just kind of, I guess, realize that that's not going to happen every single time.
Totally.
Yeah, and I mean, in your blog, you mentioned about, was it your first internship that it kind of really hit you?
It was, basically after college, I was a junior designer at a little agency. Wonderful bunch. But once again, it's always a personal thing. And the guys there had all gone through maybe a more traditional kind of, university, doing a lot of art and that kind of thing. Whereas I'd kind of well, this is the funny thing. I started out in kind of writing and English literature, thinking I was going to go down that route, and I discovered design like 4-5 years after sixth form. So by that point, never did art GCSE, and I kind of came in and was just in a different kind of boat, brought something different. You've got to give yourself kudos for that, but it's different at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's going to have those skills or those styles that they just nail like easy. They find it easy, and that's just part of them. And you'll, on the other hand, you'll really struggle and stuff, like you said, with like drawing and stuff. But then if you're really good at copywriting, that's still like, you're bringing that to the team, and ultimately, you're still making a really, really big contribution to what that company is then putting out. So again, it's just that mindset sort of switch up, isn't it?
Totally. I think this is like this is why kind of like the mental health kind of industry is so big, because there's just so many different ways of looking at it and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And you also kind of touch on the whole social media kind of bogeymen as well, kind of in terms of your kind of career outlook.
Yeah, it's I admit I'm a little bit biased towards social media. I've never really kind of got it, but I find it kind of, well, basically everyone's different, as I've said, and as I say in my blog post, it's a really wonderful to champion your peers' work, or people who are posting lovely stuff out there. Engage with them. It's wonderful, and if you get one of the kind of industry leaders to comment on one of your posts, that's going to be absolutely amazing, and it makes it so accessible, doesn't it? You can follow one of the like the great design studios around London or New York or something, and it's almost like a comment away from talking to a creative director that you really admire. It is just funny because social media kind of has that really weird kind that thing where everyone seems like they're working all the time, and you feel like if you've worked for 8 hours and you come home and you're knackered, because creative work does take a toll on you, kind of on your mind, a bit like physical labor, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And and then you go on Instagram after work and you realize, like, oh bloody hell, people are doing work after work. How do they do it? And you just want to kind of chill out and kind of I don't know, watch TV or something like that.
Have a life.
Well, this is the thing, as I say, it's wonderful if you want to illustrate like 16, 17 hours a day, but I want to go outside. I want to I love the creative industries. I just after work I kind of want to do something else. And sometimes, I admit, I've talked to a couple of my friends about it before, inspiration does hit you and you want to do some kind of, I don't know, without sounding ridiculous, like the magnum opus, and I don't know, you go out and make a film or a poster campaign or something like that in your personal time. But I think with social media, it's just whether it gels with you or not, whether you get loads out of it or not. And I think coming back to the point originally, there are people that post all the time, but that's almost like a hobby. A lot of my peers may look like they're posting all the time and they've got hundreds of posts, but actually they have like 3-4 months off. When you actually look at the kind of dates and you talk to them and they're like, oh yeah, I've got nothing posted at the minute, but I'll post a flurry of stuff. It's just about getting reference.
Yeah, exactly. And you do your best work when you're in the right mind space and you really want to do it, you're really interested in it. So there's no point whatsoever in creating content for content's sake. I would say that's probably going to be quite a detrimental thing for you to do. But I totally understand the pressure. I mean, Instagram in general, everyone puts stuff up like, or living their best life and stuff like that, but you don't see the reality of their life. So
it's all the highlights, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you got to take it with a pinch of salt, and I think try and keep that kind of mental separation between using it as an inspiration point and a way of networking and meeting up with like-minded people and, you know, starting conversations. That's great, but yeah, don't ever think that you're not good enough or you're not producing enough, or because it's all up here. It's all just, you know, and one of your points that you make is like, who told you that, isn't it? So like, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so this is a really odd thing that I just found. I mean, you know, Reddit's got so many things on, like so much content on there. And I remember coming across this this little article about this therapist who, basically, this guy had gone to this therapist and had all these problems with intrusive thoughts. I don't think it even was about creativity. It was just like, I don't know, he had problems with people at work. And the therapist said, you know, well, whenever you think these thoughts that, I don't know, like X person said this behind your back or whatever, it's like, just tell yourself who told you that, because, you know, it's all in your head. But you could go to your peer or your colleague or your friend, and they'll just go, yeah, you've been inside too long, you know, just you know, they haven't said anything. Because I mean, that's the other thing that people say, isn't it, that like nobody's actually talking about you because everyone's so focused on themselves and that kind of thing. So it's a bit, just like, if you ever if anyone's watching and is having intrusive thoughts, you know, that's a really good starting point. Just say, you know, who told you that? If you think your work's rubbish, like, nobody said that, you know. And
even if one person made some really like unconstructive comment, as we said, like, design is a very kind of personal thing, and what one person might think is horrendous, another person might like. So it's not, you know, it's not the be all and end all because one person is given an opinion one way or the other. You know, some people are always going to not like it and other people are going to like it. It's just, if you like it, that's the most important thing.
Actually, I think another thing is that I've discovered, you know, just being at uni and kind of working with like societies and stuff like that, you know, when you're stressed, I think now this is really hard to do, but I like to think that I talk to people quite nicely and do give constructive criticism. But I admit there are times when I'm stressed and I quickly just go, do that, or, you know, you're slightly rude to them or slightly cutting, and it's really easy to do. It's just, but once again, it's kind of, if you're on the receiving end of that, you think, oh my God, like, what's happening? But actually, the person's probably just kind of is just really stressed and really busy, and, you know, is almost too busy thinking about their day and less about that. And it's what everyone does, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think when you're also in a business environment as well, when you're working for an agency and stuff, like, they might also be stressed out at
totally.
you know, at the end of the day, everyone's working to a deadline. And the whole point is that the company delivers the work for that deadline for that client. So, you know, they might be stressing out about the deadline as well when it's not going to plan, and so everybody gets frustrated. And it's just one of those things. It's hard not to take it personally. And again, I think it's definitely one of those things that comes with experience. You kind of, you recognize when that is happening, when it's just that they are frustrated, you know, and they're not aiming it directly at you. It's just one of those things that are part of being a professional, I guess, and just growing up. You know, not everything you get is going to be positive feedback.
No, totally. It's all about that. I'm like, my parents constantly say, you know, it's all about resilience, isn't it? Just kind of, you know, stuff comes along and you just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's different, obviously, if your boss is being like, you know, complete dick to you or whatever.
Of
But
course, yeah.
on the whole, I think it's just, yeah, it's as you say, like, because design is so subjective, and you're coming up with something brand new and very bespoke every single time. It's not always going to be plain sailing, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I feel as well, just it's the natural thing of the process, isn't it? Just as much as, I mean, I don't know about you, Sam, but sometimes I'm doing a project and naively I'm thinking this is it right at the first step, when actually now I'm kind of, well, that's what I used to think, but now I've kind of discovered and realized finally, like, no, it's actually fine. You're not going to get it right first time. If you do, great, but it's a very rare thing, because obviously, you know, unless you have exactly the same kind of creative mindset as that client or that director or something, it's not going to happen. It's going to just, it's the natural process of design or any other kind of creative.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, that's why I'm such a big advocate for working in a team, and having someone to bounce off of is so important, because it really, really helps. It helps you get to the answer in your own head quicker.
Oh,
And
totally.
it really, really does help with the whole kind of self-doubt thing. Or, you know, if you're looking at something for 5 hours straight, you go blind to certain things and you can't see what's staring you in the face
Oh,
anymore.
I
So
know,
just
yeah.
having someone like look over your shoulder and say, like, spelt that wrong, or you know, whatever it
Oh,
is.
honestly, it's so strange, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
like, I mean, it makes total sense, but yeah, it's so strange. This is what, you know, whenever I hear of anyone going freelance, they always have, I don't know, like a good friend that they can rely on. Nobody, you know, you, I don't know, like in Hollywood films, it always seems to be like there's this hermit in a cabin in the mountains creating amazing work, but it's not true. It's like they'll probably have a mate down the road that'll just go, yeah, you spelt that wrong. That kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spelling is the bane of the designer's life,
Oh,
definitely.
yes.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
go to art school because you can't spell.
And
So
if
yeah, so
ever,
I mean, what are the other kind of, because you do talk about as well, kind of how you sort of cope with those kind of intrusive thoughts as well, which is
yes.
cool.
Yeah. Well, another good one is it's it's funniest thing. So there was a lecturer in first year, and we're in a workshop, and he basically just said this comment just in passing, just to kind of help us out a little bit. But for some reason, do you know when something really just clicks with you?
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I've been carrying it ever since. I've just been like, that's absolutely right. He said something, I've paraphrased a little bit, like, you do what you're interested in. And it's it's true. It's kind of like, so for example, with illustration, I mean, I admit at uni I've had a lot of time to do illustration, and I've pushed the boat out a bit and I'm getting a lot better. But you know, I've never really drawn in my free time. When I was younger, I did bits and bobs, you know, watch a bit of anime and maybe drew a bit of anime, but you know, nothing major.
Mhm.
But then I can imagine it was the same when you were at school as well. It's like there's always some absolute prodigy who could draw like
Yeah.
perfect images at like 11. I remember seeing this eagle when I was like 11. I was just like, bloody hell! Like, I'm drawing little stick figures. It's yeah, and it's just, it is the case. You do what you're interested in. Some people, you know, play piano and love piano throughout their entire life and childhood. Some draw, some, you know, a lot of people I know at uni have done sport for years. What I did was I used to go out on my bike a lot. I used to play a lot of video games, watch a lot of films, and yeah, you do what you're interested in. And actually, coming back to the whole subjective thing of creativity, um, it does influence my work in a good way, because you know, um, for example, I've worked with people in various different kind of roles, and you know, I love film. Some people do, some people don't, and that brings a lot of various different things to that, and you know, gaming as well, and just anything you're interested in. Like, I mean, obviously playing I don't know, football in your free time compared to illustration might bring less stuff to a creative job, but it's still what you're interested in, and maybe
it's still being part of a team as well. There's probably a lot of different skills and mindsets that you get from all of those things that then you bring into your professional life as well.
Oh, totally. And this is the thing, football's massive, so you get football client, a client who's, I don't know, involved with a stadium or a football team, and then you bring that guy in who knows all about football and loves it, and it just helps the whole process.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about working in the creative industry, is that you can literally turn your hobbies into your job.
Oh, exactly.
And I love the quote, a man who loves his job never works a day in his life. And I've kind of always kind of thought, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I don't want it to feel like work. I want it to be like I enjoy, it's different all the time. You're dealing with different projects, different clients, totally. And yeah, there are some mundane stuff there's a lot of mundane stuff that's just day to day and like roll out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you still enjoy that part as well, because it's almost like, I find it quite therapeutic in a way. And being able to see a project from start to finish, and then you see something on the shelf that you've done.
Oh, honestly,
it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't. Nothing beats that feeling. Seeing a banner, or even just like a coaster. I mean, coasters are really cool as well, aren't they? It's like,
anything. Anything that's made it into the real world, and a client has paid you to do it, and they've put their branding on it, or whatever it is. It's
you just do that little like fanboy thing while everyone's walking past, and it's just like, what's he doing? I was like, I did that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And it's those little wins, I think, that puts into perspective all those little niggly comments that might have happened, or the fact that you weren't the most creative or the best in your class, or at work, or people didn't even like your idea as much in that presentation that you did, but the client picked your work. So it's all those little things. Yeah. And you mentioned about like a positivity journal as well. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah, this was another strange thing that I came across, and this is just even good for like just general life. There was this random Guardian article, and I double checked this past my mate. Basically, he's from Italy, and apparently there's a saying in Italy that I believe it's good and bad things come in threes. And basically, there was a woman, and she was going through a really tough time, and it was like at the start of her article just said, oh yeah, I've been writing my journal, 3 good things, and she mentioned about this saying, and I thought it was just like a really lovely idea, and I started doing it just generally outside of creative work, and I don't want to say it like changed my life or anything, but it was just like, it's this nice little thing that and gives you a bit of like gives you a bit of reference, even if you have a really bad day, it's like, actually, I don't know, had a really nice lunch or whatever, or saw someone you like, and I mean, linking back the creative creative industries, as I say in my article, taking that, why don't if someone's struggling with imposter syndrome, or just kind of having a bad day, why don't you just kind of, if your company allows it, take a screenshot of good work you've done, or save a little Instagram post that might have done really particularly well, like or the client might have sent a really nice email. Just save those little things, and you could put it in your portfolio, but even just a little record of all the nice things that have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something you can then go back and look at and give perspective when you're having a bad day, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Because that it's that old saying, isn't it? Like, bad times don't last forever. Oh, I don't think that's a saying, but like, you can get the
idea. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I've even started doing that personally with building Tern Heads. I make a little note when I got 1,000 followers on Instagram today, or I got 4 sign-ups today, and it's like little incremental things, but I hope that I can look back on it one day, and it will just kind of again gives that whole perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it's like real tangible things that have happened, and you just like, you get the little like fist bump.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, brilliant. Oh, well, thank you so much for that, James. And I think I think a lot of people will sort of resonate with that. I know I do. And
good.
yeah, if you want to check out James's blog post, then you can find that on ternheads.com/blog, and leave a comment, like maybe share your kind of fails or your wins, or
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be great. And and then jump in the forum as well, because there's also like a wins, fails and bumps forum that I hope everyone's gonna start commenting in soon and share it, because it is just the reality, I think, of life, that you're going to come across things like that. And I think the more you share them, the more it's going to help you and each other. So awesome. Just get stuck in. And if you want to share your own kind of stories and your own, or talk about a particular topic as well, then do email me, sam@ternheads.com, and it'll be great to get you involved.